again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, but you could call me Grizzer. A lot of people do, and this is where we get you caught up on some of the latest news and tidbits that are tied to our favorite team in the NFL. That is, of course, the Cleveland Browns. There's the elf on the wall. Probably gave it away. Thank you to everybody who's liked the previous episodes, who have subscribed to the channel. That close to 14,000. I already have the fit picked out. When we get to 14,000, we will change the fit for just one show. The 14,000 fit is already picked out, just waiting to go. We'll give the Orange Quarter Zip one day off when we get to 14,000. And thank you to everybody who gets your comments down there in the viewer comments section. Viewer comments, a big part of this show, which we will cover the search for the defensive coordinator. Seems to be taking a little bit longer than expected, but the president of Haslam Sports Group may have the reason why. A viewer comment uncovers a wide receiver that nobody is talking about, but everybody should. And in the viewer comments, why we should bring in any free agent or rookie quarterback to compete with Shedeur Sanders. Anyone we can find. All right, we'll find out what's going on there. But first things first, this out of the gate, I didn't think it would take this long to find a defensive coordinator. But Corey Undland was requested to be talked to, and a lot of people seem to think he might have the inside track. I like Tarver, but Undland and Munkin spent time together at Jacksonville. He was also the defensive backs coach in Philadelphia when Jim Schwartz was there. So you have that tie as well. He understands Schwartz defense. He knows Munkin, so people think that might give him the inside track if you're talking about continuity and things. He also worked with the Houston defense, the San Francisco defense, so a couple of top defenses there. So he can bring that experience along with him. But he was the DB's coach for the 2013 Broncos team that reached the Super Bowl. So guy's got a great resume, and I have a feeling today's the day if it hasn't already happened. Who will find out, but they talked to like 6 or 7 people, but Jason Tarver, the linebackers coach, is my guy. What Pleasant's on the list, Bullen, Ruttenberg, Cooley, and they talked to a bunch of different guys. So we'll see where it all plays out, but I'm sure it's going to happen 5 minutes after we post this video. So, but there we go. I don't know. Everybody thinks that Unland has the inside track for the defensive coordinator spot, which I thought that would have been settled relatively quickly, but it hasn't. The search has been going on now for a couple of weeks. Now, why is the search taking so long? Well, Haslam Sports Group president Dave Jenkins, who we don't really hear from a ton, provide a little insight on that, and he cracked back a little bit on people who have been criticizing the Browns. He talked with Front Office Sports, and yeah, he said, look, ever since, the Haslams have owned the team, haven't made the playoffs in 12 of their 14 seasons. But he's been with the Browns for 22 years. And so he helped the Haslams launch Haslam Sports Group. Because remember, they're involved in other things too, the Milwaukee Bucks and soccer teams and, and building stadiums and all this other stuff. But Jenkins, man, he came out firing in his interview. I was like, wow. Here's what he said. He's like, the Browns are real easy to pick on right now because the team has been unable to string together a consistent run of success. But like any business, any industry, the more data and information you can have accessible to inform our decision making, we should be more successful. But he wasn't done, because remember the whole the clown in the Browns for the essay thing, which is really, we've come to find out, is not a thing. There's a questionnaire, and the questions were about Shedeur. How would you develop Shedeur? But here's how Jenkins responded to the question about the lengthy process, the thorough process the Browns put coaching candidates through. And he said, asking somebody what their football or offensive philosophy isn't quite the same as writing an essay. We're going to do background checks. We're going to talk to people. We're going to explore references. We're going to ask what the philosophies are before we make a decision. And I mean, what's wrong with that? I was like, man, Sounds like he's kind of had enough of the criticisms, and I do too. It's like, what, like I said, the Browns they're darned if they do, they're darned if they don't. If they go right out and hire somebody right away, they'll get clowned because like, oh, they don't even think about it. They don't even think. Oh, I just hire the first guy they see. They take their time, they make it a thorough process, they ask guys questions, they have them fill out a questionnaire, they do some things, and they get clowned anyway because it's too much. And so it's like you're not. You're never gonna make everybody happy. So I'm fine with it. Take your time. Let's line everything up, get this all together. And they're doing the same thing with the defensive coordinator search. So don't have a problem with that at all. But I thought that was great, man. That front office sports interview that he did. Dave Jenkins, man, let's go. Gloves are off, baby. He's like, yeah, you can keep clowning us, but whatever. All right, now, something else we're searching for are wide receivers for our team. And we talked about some of the top wide receivers that we'd like to get in this draft. We want big ones. I want guys who are 6'3" and taller. That's who I want because we need big targets, especially down there in the red zone. And a viewer comment actually sparked this idea for me. And I said, man, maybe we should talk about some sleeper wide receivers. But it's our guy Bizzles369 who said, Grizz, I've been researching wideouts. I found our sleeper. His name is Ted Hurst. He's faster and more explosive than Tate and Lane. And he's tall like you like him. And you can get him in the second. I'm telling you, I would get him in the first. Well, the little digging on Mr. Ted Hurst, which I was pleasantly surprised. But here's the thing, Bizzle. I think you're going to get him in the third round. Now, the information I got on our sleeper wide receivers comes from Bleacher Report. I compared some other things. Everybody's pretty much saying the same things about all these guys. So I just liked how Bleacher Report broke this down. They gave each guy a grade, and then there's a comparable grade. So guys who've already been drafted give you an idea of kind of the success that guys with comparable grades have had in the NFL. But Ted Hurst, man, they're saying high-level backup with starter upside. He's big. He is big. He's 6'3". He's went to Georgia State. And they compare him to Zay Flowers, grade-wise, not like height, weight. This is grade-wise, all the things they put into their grades. But Zay Flowers, there's our guy, Ced Tillman, who I think people would say Ced Tillman is not a bad receiver. He just can't stay healthy. That's his biggest problem so far. He can't stay healthy. And then Rashee Rice, I mean, that's not bad company to be in as far as wide receivers in the NFL. Flowers especially. Overall rank 64. They got him 14th in the position. They compare him to George Pickens. Not a bad comparison. That's what I like. 6'3", 200. Bizzle, you found a good one. But I don't think they're saying third round. So second round, yeah, if you want to jump the gun a little bit. But I think if you could get Tater Boston in the first round, you got to go that route. You got to go Tater Boston. And then if you come around but we need linemen too, man. I feel like, especially if we sign somebody, you can't burn a first round pick on a sleeper. But Ted Hurst, not a bad one. That's a good find. I think we sign somebody and then like a Dobbs or a Pierce, and then you take your wide receiver one in the first round, whether it's Tate or Boston, and then you move on. And then when you get down in the second or third round, if the linemen that you want aren't there, then you look for Ted Hurst or somebody like this, Malachi Fields, Notre Dame. 6'4", 220, man. Elite size, baby, is what they're saying. Second rounder, comparable to Ibuka. Nothing wrong with that. Jordan Addison, nothing wrong with that. Overall rank 32, but they got him wide receiver 5, man. Malachi Fields, shades of Brandon Marshall. Nothing wrong with that. They say his weakness is average explosiveness. He struggles with separation against press coverage. Remember, he was at Virginia and then transferred to Notre Dame, but they're saying his projection anywhere from late first round to a mid-round pick. So Malachi Fields is another big one, that big target that I would absolutely consider in the middle rounds. He's not going to be our wide receiver one, but if you don't sign a free agent wide receiver and you need to add another body, this would be a good one, as will, and we mentioned this guy once before, Chris Brazzell II, Tennessee, the Volunteers, 6'5", 200. They're saying he'd go in the second round. So, these are guys, though, that you could potentially consider. Like, if you say you miss out on both Tate and Boston in the first round, and then you get two linemen, and then come around in the second round and get a Brazzell or a Malachi Fields or Ted Hurst, I'm okay with that. Like, that's why we're doing this, to show you options. If the guys we want in the first round aren't there and we take linemen, which is great, which is fine, or you take Downs at 6, you're going to be able to find guys like this. But Brazzell, man, they compare him to Addison, Pierce, Khalil Shakur. His grade was 7.9 in 2022. And so that's where his grade kind of falls in along with those guys, Brazzell. And so they compare him to Martavius Bryant. Remember when he was with the Steelers? So, not bad. You got me thinking there, Bizzle, that you got me thinking that if we missed out on both Tate and Boston, we could wait to the second round and get one of those guys. Because remember, you don't necessarily need these guys to stretch the field. You got Bond to stretch the field. What you need are big bodies who can box out defensive backs, especially down in the red zone, and catch everything. We need guys who can catch. And we're going to talk more about Jerry Jeudy in another. But Jerry Jeudy is not our wide receiver one. He's not. He's not a wide receiver one. But I think he'll have a bounce back year. He could be a solid wide receiver too. And if you could develop, or you just get lucky and you hit on, a Brazzell or a Hurst or a Malachi Fields, if you miss out on Boston or Tate, and they become your wide receiver one, I feel like we have to draft our wide receiver one. But you could revamp this entire room with one signing, like you sign a Dobbs, you draft a Tate of Boston, a Fields, a Brazzell. You draft one of those guys, make them your wide receiver one. You have your wide receiver one from the draft. You have a signee. You have Jeudy. You have Bond. You're already off to a good start. And so the wide receiver room is going to transform, but the offensive line to me is where you're going to have to use more draft picks. You got to be very selective in the wide receivers that you take, in my opinion. I think you load up on young offensive linemen in this draft because they go deep. So another thing we like to load up on are viewer comments. And I almost did a whole big, because there's so many good comments lately. You guys are just out of control. I don't know. I might have to do a show like that where I just make it all like just load up the viewer comments at the end and maybe go rapid fire and try to get, as many as I can in here, because you guys, man, I feel bad sometimes. I want to get that one. It's just hard to pick sometimes. You guys make it hard, which is great. It's a good problem to have. But we'll start today with Carlton Berry 137, who says, these teams are not desperate for quarterbacks. Remember, we're talking about Malik Willis, and I said I cannot believe somebody would give up, a 3-year contract for $100 million. That's the kind of money they're talking about, with anywhere from 25 to 40 or 50 million a year for Malik Willis. And I said this is how desperate teams are to find a quarterback. And Carlton Berry said, these teams are not desperate for quarterbacks. They're just stupid when it comes to talent evaluation. This is the biggest problem in the whole of the NFL. Figuring out who is good, who is a good player, and who is not. A guy who understands talent wins Super Bowls. And there's a lot to be said about that, because you go back and look at our draft picks. You got to hit on these draft picks, man. Especially your first, second, third rounders. And we showed you, the worst ones of all time. And you look at some of those names and then you go what were these people thinking when they took these guys? We passed on the Honeybag. I remember so many years we passed on Clay Matthews Jr. It's right in front of you. This doesn't get any easier. But we always have people that seem like they're the smartest people in the room, man. Just take what. That's why I'm telling you, man. If Downs is there at 6. Some people are saying he is the best pick in the entire draft. So if Tate isn't there and Fano's gone and Maui Goa is gone, if all of those guys are gone, I don't have a problem with taking Caleb Downs and then he can return punts to you. You add him to the defense and he can return punts. So that's why you have to keep your options open with that that number 6 pick. And we just showed you can get a wide receiver in the second round. You come back around, or if you can get Downs, a few picks later and you pick up an extra pick, trade down, and then you get Downs and you load up on a couple of linemen and then you grab a Malachi Fields or something like that in the first pick in the second round and then you keep going on looking for more linemen. That's not a bad plan. Not a bad plan at all. Tom Bowman, 2692, he says, if the fact of Browns paying Watson $40 million this year and you think he won't be on the roster makes me wonder about a lot of your takes. Okay, I wasn't fully sure what he meant by the comment, but I wanted to address it because I think what he's saying is I think he's trying to say that I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth. But here is what I have always said about Deshaun Watson. I have always said that he will be cut after June 1st because they can spread the cap hit over a couple of years. They could spread it. He's probably going to be on the books for like another 4 years. But the major cap hits are this year and next year. But if they cut him after June 1st, they can spread the cap money out. What's going to determine that, the off-season workouts start in April. He's already down there, making his Uncle Rico videos, which we'll talk more about in a minute. But the Browns have to see where Monkey, they got a whole new staff in here. They have to see, they have to look at him. I mean, he's had two Achilles in a year. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get, from him. And so if they determine he's good enough to be the backup and they don't go out and get anybody else, he's already here, they're already paying him, then the Browns brass might just say, all right, let's just keep him as the backup. It's fine. He's never going to play. Shador's durable. We'll just let him be there. So if they don't find an affordable backup that makes sense, like Mitch Trubisky, that's why I bring up Trubisky, because he'll know his role. Maybe he'll give us a hometown discount. He's not going to cost us a ton. He's got experience. He'll be happy to be there, be the backup, come back home to Cleveland. Mitch Trubisky. That, to me, makes a lot of sense. If they can't find somebody like that, they will keep Watson around to be the backup if he passes all the tests, if he looks good enough to play. And so if he's not good enough, and the Achilles doesn't give out, then yeah, I would think they would consider keeping him around. But they are not considering him to be QB1. When the owner of the team calls you a big swing and a miss, when the owner of the team says, we thought we had our quarterback, we didn't, that means you are not the Browns' quarterback and you are not in their future plans. That's what that means. This came from the owner. And when the owner gives the okay to the general manager to take Shedeur Sanders because he wants him as much as Andrew Berry wants him, that is your QB1. Oh, yeah, let's throw in the fact that the coach, our new head coach, tried to recruit Shedeur when he was at Georgia and then tried to draft him when he was at Baltimore. So to be clear, Tom Bowman, 2692, my take on Watson is this. I still think they will cut him after June 1st because I don't think he's going to be good enough. Nobody wants him to play. This is Dylan Gabriel 2.0. Well, this is Dylan Gabriel 1.0. Nobody wants to see Deshaun Watson ever take a snap for the Browns again. Nobody wants to see Dylan Gabriel out there either. But Dylan Gabriel's on a rookie contract. So that helps. But nobody in Cleveland wants to see this guy quarterback ever again. So the only thing the Browns can do is, instead of wasting away on a guy who can't play, if he can't play, they're going to cut him after June 1st. That's it. But if he can show enough during OTAs and off-season workouts and things that he can be a viable backup, they're already paying him. They'll keep him around to be the backup. Nobody still wants to see him, but that's only for 1 year, and then he'll be gone. He'll be gone after that for sure. Like, he'll be done. Like, we are rounding third and heading home on this Deshaun Watson thing. It is over. Tom. It is over. Nobody wants to see him quarterback the Cleveland Browns ever again. And the only people who say that he will are the rage baiters and the haters who are just trying to get a reaction. They want to get clicks on their website and get a response from the Shedeur Sanders faithful. That's it. I am telling you, Deshaun Watson is no part of any plan of the future of the Cleveland Browns. The owner called him a big swing and a miss. That's all you need to know. Tom, that's it. I hope that makes sense. Please follow up in the comments if you need some more explanation, but that is my stand on Deshaun Watson. Nobody wants to see him. Angelo Loria, 7781. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Johnny Manziel, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, Malik Willis, ? Yeah. I mean, what has Willis really done in the league? I mean, the team that drafted him gave up on him. You know, like, and I know, see, here's the thing. It's going to be hard to say stuff like this now after watching Sam Darnold. I mean, the Jets, you know, I heard a funny thing that Amy Agar, she makes these funny videos. She was like, the Jets finally drafted a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I'm like, yeah, she's not wrong. So, but, you know, I mean, what was the difference? Coaching? You know, I mean, it took him a little while to, you know, to get his feet under him. But yeah, you know, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And so, there's no way we are spending that kind of money on Malik Willis, who has played less games than Shedeur, is shorter than Shedeur. You know, I think Shedeur is a better athlete. Like, there's just no way. If Malik Willis was any good, he'd beat somebody's quarterback already. Don Hamilton, 4450. This is what we teased at the top. Don says, I'm bringing in any free agent or rookie quarterback to compete for QB1. If Sanders is all that, he should relish the competition. Competition breeds excellency. The cream always rises to the top. And so I'm going to go with Don on this one. And you know what? If that's what it, you know, I mean, if that's what, it's really not a bad theory. Like, they can't fit Willis under the cap. But if they brought somebody in here who could, you know, potentially push Shedeur a little bit, because Watson's not pushed. The owner said he's a big swing and a miss. Like, he has no chance to overtake Shedeur. You know, we all know what we got with Dylan Gabriel. That's not happening. You know, and so that's not a bad theory. It's not a bad theory to maybe bring somebody in to keep Shedeur. But I don't see listen, Shedeur's motivation, the haters. Shedeur's motivation, drop into the 5th round. There's so many other things that will motivate Shedeur. Like, he is on a mission to take this job by the reins and never let it go. You can see it, and you can see it in the way, you know, in the way he works, the way he did now, the way he talks about things, the way he addresses the media, all of it, man. So I don't know. I get where you're at, Don. I get where you're at, but Shedeur does. I don't think Shedeur needs any pushing, man. I think he's gonna be on. He's got this thing on lockdown, man, and cannot wait to get back in April and get this thing rolling. So, but good theory, Don. It's not a bad theory. And if you were thinking Malik Willis, but yeah, draft a quarterback. That's why I say if you can get a Drew Aller or somebody like that in the 5th round or the 6th round or the 7th, you know, get Drew Aller and bring him in here and have him work behind Shedeur. They're calling Aller, and he's from here. People would like that. You know, he could work behind Shedeur and learn. So, but not a bad thought, Don. Okay, we will end today, and this is great. We will end today with Anthony Jordan, 2878. And I have to give special mention to Francis Seal, 105, and Johnny Pena, who all brought up the Uncle Rico references. Anthony Jordan says, I didn't know who Uncle Rico was, but I looked him up, and the Watson Uncle Rico video comments now are funny AF. So Uncle Rico, it's Napoleon Dynamite. And I mean, this movie just cracks me up. But Napoleon Dynamite, if you don't know the movie, he's like this weird kid. But his grandma's supposed to watch him, and then his grandma got hurt and can't watch him, and so Uncle Rico shows up to watch him and his brother. And Uncle Rico is the guy who was the quarterback in high school who would have gone state if things would have just gone his way or whatever. But when he's out there in the yard, and this is what he's got a camera set up, and he's just filming himself dropping back and throwing footballs, just like those Watson videos. They are exactly the same thing. Where he's drops back in front of the camera and he says, "I bet you I could throw this football over that mountain." And and then he's always talking about throwing the football over the mountain. And so there he is with his camera in the movie and getting ready to try to throw the football over the mountain. But there's Uncle Rico. That's Uncle Rico, and he makes these videos. And I tell you, man, like I can't see anything but Uncle Rico when I see these Deshaun Watson videos. When he's dropping back and it is Uncle Rico, man. It is the Uncle Rico videos. But Anthony Jordan and then Francis and Johnny both said something about the Uncle Rico references too. But that's where it's from. It's from the Napoleon Dynamite. If you wanted to, search Uncle Rico, Napoleon Dynamite. But the guy's got some great lines in that movie, man. That movie's got some funny lines. But that's what it is, man. Deshaun Watson and the Uncle Rico videos, man. It is. I cannot not see it whenever I see these Deshaun Watson. Oh my gosh, it is Uncle Rico every single time. All right, that's gonna do it for today's show. Hey, tomorrow, prediction pen. What are we gonna? Maybe we could ask about the draft, free agency. I don't know. We don't know. There's lots of things we can ask about. But the prediction pen, or if you've got questions for the pen, put them in your comment. Put the questions for the pen in your comments. That's what we'll do, and I'll put a note in the comments too. If you guys got questions for the pen, maybe we'll make it a viewer comment prediction pen day. Ooh, that'll be fun. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Go Browns. We will see you next time.